And now, the time fight fans all across the globe have been waiting for patiently. Why? Because it's your man, the myth, the legend, the voice, and this is the main card. In the opposite corner, my mano y-mano, my verbal sparring partner, Philly's finest. Who's just rough?
You see the good lookingness. I'm here. It's smoke o'clock, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here, of course, with the man, the myth, the legend. He getting all orange with that trash Bronco on his hat. But we here
in both of your squads.
Absolutely not. But we here, ladies and gentlemen. We got an amazing show for y'all. As always, thank you for tuning into the main card. We got some great things to get into. Of course, UFC 323. The first voice, we got to get into some KOs and low blows. And this week is some good ones. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Let's get to it. Now, voice, Ronda Rousey is back in the news. And it's not just her talking in a podcast or her doing an interview. Rowdy's trying to get a return. She's currently in negotiations to face Katie Taylor in a bout that, if you ask certain people, no one seems to ask for it. But with you being our resident guru here, I want to get your thoughts on this bout. What do you think about it? Why? Just tell us something, boys.
Okay. And this is allegedly that she is in talks with Katie Taylor to do this. The main reason why is the name of the game. This is prize fighting. And she could make a whole lot of money fighting Katie Taylor. This would definitely be a one-off. This is something that most likely would be on a platform like a Netflix, and if you can get a cool 10 mil, why not get it? Now, what's really interesting about all of this, though, is that it's been rumored that Gina Carano is back in MMA training, and that's the rumor about, or I should say, at least on the MMA end, that's a rumor about her versus Rousey on the White House card, which that would be great. And that's a good matchup. Two people who haven't fought professionally in over a decade fighting each other, people who are legends, the ones who really helped to make the sport accessible for women. Yeah, sign me up. That sounds wonderful. But the person who held the title as the GOAT, the quote, one of the first people to say that term, being none other than Chris Cyborg, had me rolling. Just dying, laughing out loud. She said, she saw Ronda shadow boxing once, and her shadow won. I was done. So, yeah, she does not need to box anyone professionally, amateurly. I don't even think that's a word, but in the amateur ranks, she don't need to box anybody just playing around in the gym. Only boxing she needs to do is pack up whatever dreams she has about being a pugilist and shipping them off.
Okay, so understandable, because we already know Katie Taylor is a beast in the ring. But voice, what would a surprise win by Ronda Rousey do to the sport of women's boxing?
It would shake up the world the same way the boxing champion who's getting ready to box again, who it would make more sense for Katie to box, being Holly Holm. It would shake up the world the same way it did that Holly shook up the world when she shook up Ronda's teeth, kicking her in the head.
You got beef with Ronda, voice?
I don't. I don't like how she has handled the press, which is the reason why many people in the MMA sphere don't really mess with her anymore. It's like, yes, everyone did love you when you were portraying yourself to be a certain way. But then when the true Ronda came out, when people were asking legitimate questions, and you just hung up and stopped the whole press conference, and then deliberately said, for all intents and purposes, the same people, the same media that helped you to get to the place where you are, I'm not doing any interviews with MMA media ever again. It's like, okay. And that really made many people sour on her, the fact that she stopped speaking to the MMA community, because that's how you speak to them, is through the media.
Yeah, it's interesting when you talk about her with the MMA community, because the wrestling community is not really high on her either. With some of the interviews that she's done recently, it seems kind of like she's almost like she's on a crusade, which I wish she wouldn't do, because it's almost messing up her legacy everywhere she goes. But we'll definitely keep you all updated here on the main card. Most likely NKOs and low blows, or you might see Voice. If there's any breaking news, you might see Voice on TikTok or Instagram dropping some news just to let you know what's next for Ronda Rousey. Now, up next, we have something that we like to call a ring rundown. So normally we like to give you all just, one or two nuggets in the boxing community, but this week it has been a very newsworthy week, and we're going to get started with the WBC and Terrence Crawford. Now, the WBC has now stripped Terrence Crawford of his WBC super middleweight world title due to unpaid sanctioning fees. And Terrence did not sit down and take this lightly, going on a Instagram video where it's very not safe for anybody. It's probably not even safe for some of us adults with the way that he went in. But after the video, there were a lot of people who spoke out who not only agreed with him within the boxing community. So, Voice, what does this mean for the sanctioning body with this news coming out? Because you literally are taking the titles from the best in the world at this point.
Now, fighters losing titles after winning them without contesting is nothing new. Alexander Usyk just went from being the undisputed heavyweight champion once again to being unified only, because I believe it was the WBC again stripped him of his title, and now Hamza Shiraz and Christian Billy are supposed to fight for the full-fledged version of it. Fighters losing their titles like this is nothing new. What Bud was saying, which was the issue, is something that no one, or I should say, even him talking about the sanctioning fees is not new. Floyd Mayweather, who loves the WBC, he probably has done more to put the WBC on the map than anyone. Talking about the green belt, I want the green belt, and I get it, because that belt is different. It's different, and it is different. You got the pictures of the other champions on it. It feels a little special. It does. Bud's issue was, why do you all want so much more than everybody else? And even though you all cut it down from your 3% to 0.06%, you're still a whole lot higher than the other sanctioning bodies. I will give you what I'm giving the other sanctioning bodies. That's it. And they said no. So he said, well, you can have your belt. But his statements about wanting and needing belts, that's the part that should make these sanctioning bodies very, very concerned. It's so hard to keep up with who has what. And it's because of the sanctioning bodies. You got interim champions, silver champions, diamond champions. I just went to the store champions. You got all kinds of champions. And the reason you have them is because of the sanctioning fees. And it really doesn't make sense, or I should say, it makes it so confusing. You have, for instance, WBA will have a super champion, a regular champion, and an interim champion in the same division, all at the same time, and might even all be fighting on the same card. It's just crazy. What Bud said was like, forget all of that. The belt that counts is the ring belt. That's the lineal champion. You are the champion because you beat the man, not because they sat around in a boardroom and said, okay, you're going to be the champion. No, that's not how the ring belt works. They rank you, and even if a champ vacates, then it goes to the next person in line, versus the way that things happen in some of these other sanctioning bodies. Now, what really was interesting to me about all of this is Blood said that, and then all these other fighters said that, but you got people like Foster, Oshaki Foster, who's fighting on this card this weekend, saying, hey, look, I love the WBC belt. WBC belt made me somebody. Chris Algieri was saying some of the same things, like, look, I needed those other belts because without it, nobody will come to the table. And this is what helped me with making money. So is there still a place for it with many boxers? Yes. The upper echelon, not so much. And Gervonta Davis is a key example of that. He didn't care anything about belts. He just fought fights. But what it does, especially with Bud, is it makes everything else not as important. It's really devaluing it, and it's putting those sanctioning bodies in a very precarious position. What doesn't help is what's going on right now in Washington with them trying to revise the Ali Act, and with TKO coming into things, because they're coming in. That's why they want to revise it. They want to have their own belts, their own rankings, and keep everything in-house. The fact that he mentioned being Bud, the ring belt being the one that matters, that there's more to that story, and you need to know it. You need to know that Bud is a Ring magazine ambassador. So it behooves him to say that. Bud was able to fight the fight with Canelo because Turkey put up the money. Who owns Ring? Turkey. Right. So even though the rankings and things are legit, I'm not saying that there's any funny business there. Bud has some motivation to put Ring on top, and I'm gonna leave it there.
There you go. Well, we'll definitely hear more about it, I'm sure, but the way that Bud kind of went in as the top champion, it just felt like the wrong thing for the WBC to state. And even one of their governing officials came on and did an interview and said, yeah, he had a $50 million purse. Of course, we weren't going to take that large of a percentage, but we did need to take our percentage. And it was just kind of like, really? So that'll be interesting to hear about. We got two more things to cover here, Voice. Two big fights that have apparently been made. Jamal Charlo prematurely announced a bout with Caleb Plant for January. And you also had Teofimo Lopez versus Shakur Stevenson announced by Turkey. Tell us, Voice, why do these fights make such a big difference? And what does this mean for a lot of the fights moving forward? Because it looks like now we're getting more bigger fights.
Well, as far as Teofimo and Shakur is concerned, that is a huge fight. Shakur is coming up in weight to 140 to face Teofimo for his title. It is, and I don't believe it's the WBC. I think it's like WBO, WBA, one of those. But it's a big fight because we have people that we've been talking about for the past couple years. It was the 4 kings and then the 5 princes, and well, maybe they're all princes, and who knows? And it, just got crazy. But those people were 2 of them are on the screen. You have Teofimo Lopez as being one of those parties being talked about because they're all around the same weight. Shakur Stevenson, Tank Davis, and Devin Haney. So now we get 2 of those parties fighting each other, something that we've not seen before. And like I said, it's 4 or 5 because they start trying to throw Pitbull in there. Ryan, they want to throw in there. But these are really the main players at these lower weight classes and the people that really are carrying the load when it comes to boxing. And we had this matchup. You have 2 very slick fighters, 2 counter punchers, which again on paper, like, yes, they're fighting each other. But when you really think about how both of them fight, I don't know what kind of night we're in for. we'll talk about that more as the time comes, and it's right around the corner. But to see this fight being made is big, and shout out to Turkey. He keeps making the fights that people want to see. All the dream matchups are being made because of Saudi Arabia. Now, what's super interesting and what makes the slip of the lip by Charlo in that interview with Brian Custer is that it's on the same night. So you're telling me you got a blood feud, literally, with Charlo and Plant, and then you have this era-defining fight between Shakur and Teo on the same day. You're gonna pull, and because both fights are gonna be pay-per-view, so you're gonna make people decide which way they want to spend their money on that day, because you're not buying. It's not like back in the day. Disposable income is not very high. So if you're buying it, which of course they want you to buy it, they don't want you to break out the fire stick. But if you're buying it, you're gonna have to choose one or the other. Even if you go on the fire stick route, it'd be so many people on it's gonna be buffering, you ain't gonna be able to see it. So what are you going to do? So again, he messed up being Charlo. I would not be surprised if that fight is moved to a different date, same as this fight was made, and knowing the politics and the just the market of boxing, it would be foolhardy to put it on the same day, because you're not going to get the kind of return that you're looking for.
Definitely understandable. Some great takes there. It's two great matches, two great boxing matches that are being made. Be interesting to see how they're going to happen. Like you said, boys, we know Teofimo and Shakur is happening. Charlo versus Caleb Plant may end up being moved either way. Just to see these fights now happening is very ironic, especially considering the fact everything that Gervonta Davis is going through. And like you say, he was one of the big people that we wanted to see fight some of these bigger fish. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Make sure y'all tune into the main card, and we'll provide you any updates that come about.
That we will. And as you can hear, the music has changed as we have gone from the rundown now to the walkout, the ring walkout, Wildress's ring walkout, where we talk about the wonderful, wonderful world of professional wrestling. We had Survivor Series that was just last week, and at Survivor Series we had the return of one of the most bankable commodities in the game right now, being Liv Morgan. She came out, did her thing, stirred up the pot, has now created a faction with Roxanne and Raquel. Who knows what that means for Dom Mysterio? Who knows what that means for all of the women? But one woman in particular that this impacts or could impact is Stephanie Vaquer, as they had some words, and seems as if this storyline is building with the clash of personalities between Liv and Vaquer. You got Liv as a resilient underdog, with just bringing that I'm not going to be stopped energy, where Stephanie is a technical master. How does this possible feud, broaden the global appeal of the WWE?
Well, I really want to think about the global appeal is always going to be there. Liv Morgan is one of the top stars, and probably at the very top of the women's division on Raw. If you got a chance to see my TikTok video, one of the things that I said was, while Stephanie Vaquer is already a great champion, one of the things currently holding her back is she hasn't had a great program to work with. She had the Nikki Bella program. We saw how that worked out for Survivor Series. Her match with Tiffany was a squash, so to speak. Liv Morgan gives Stephanie Vaquer her biggest challenge to date. And with Liv coming back to the Judgment Day and having Roxanne and Raquel by her side, it makes them even more formidable. You see the effects that Liv Morgan has to show how much of a top star she is with her return, the excitement of her return on Survivor Series on that Monday night, seeing how she reinvigorated the Judgment Day. And now, literally, the Judgment Day is back on top at Raw, being a priority. So I think that this is great. I think the challenge that WWE has is, where do you go? Because Liv Morgan is a top star. Liv Morgan is one of the women that you want to see carrying that belt around because of her appeal, her global appeal. Now she's doing movies and everything else. But then you have Stephanie McCurry. You have a woman who literally has taken over, and they're presenting her in the biggest way possible. So I think you're going to kind of see a clash here. But the thing to really think about is this advances the Raw women's division even further, because it's been down, so to speak. Bianca Belair has been hurt. You've had Charlotte and Alexa Bliss. They've been in the tag team division. Rhea and Io Sky has also been tagging together. So it's going to be interesting to see how big of an appeal that WWE makes this between the two, because their standoff has already been great to see, and it's going to be a wonderful look between the two. We haven't seen them in the ring together as of yet.
Okay. Now, over the past couple years, with both of the Evolution cards and a number of other things, women have really helped with lifting the profile of the WWE and broadening their fan base. With that being said, we have one star who's just returned and another one who is on his way out, being John Cena, who sat down recently with Bill Simmons of The Ringer and had an interview that has the internet on fire. Like, we had to switch the show up once we got the news, because it's just all over the place. This interview is taking off. Cena talked about so many things, the end of the wrestling run for him. He spoke about how his heel run went and what he felt a heel really represented. But what has everyone talking most is him speaking about the end of things for Vince McMahon and how he hates that Vince is away from professional wrestling. Now, if you're familiar with Vince's story and with what happened, it's pretty bad, to say the least. So bad that his own daughter refused to be associated with the company as long as he was there. That's how bad it is. And for John Cena, who has all this media training, been in front of a live mic for decades now, to say something like that just kind of makes you scratch your head. It's like, well, what's going on? So my question to you, Will, is what do you think he wanted to accomplish by saying this?
It's kind of hard to say, because John Cena is a smart person. You brought up media training. He knows what he's doing and what he's saying. It could be the fact that he's on his way out and it's a bit of a nostalgia. When you speak about Vince McMahon, it's like the movie Candyman. You ain't supposed to say his name 3 times in the mirror, because bad things happen. And in essence, bringing up Vince McMahon with all the allegations and the current lawsuit against him, it's not really a thing of positivity that anyone wants to hang their hat on. Now, for me personally, I think it could be possibly that maybe John wants Vince to be there for his final match on his way out. At the end of the day, whether you like him or not, Vince McMahon made John Cena, and John Cena is never going to forget that. Now, does that absolve him of anything he's done? Absolutely not. But you do have some wrestling fans, unfortunately, who are still clamoring to see Vince McMahon come back. Number one, because of the nostalgia factor. Number two, because of the fact that they're not fans of the current product. You've seen everything with TKO and Nick Khan, and people complaining about pricing and how Vince made things more of a family type environment in comparison, which is very ironic. But Cena's words should not be ignored. Like you said, he's had media training, so he knows what he's doing. And maybe it's just a thing of loyalty for him. The one thing that I tell wrestling fans who have been wrestling fans like myself since you could walk is, the older you get, you begin to have to reconcile the relationship that you have with professional wrestling and sometimes your favorite wrestler. This is the reason why, I don't want to talk bad about the dead guy, rest his soul. This is the reason why Hulk Hogan went out the way that he did. This is the reason why so many others are looked at in certain ways. This is the reason why a lot of people don't look at Chris Jericho in the same way. Do your research. If you know. But it's just one of those things where you kind of have to begin to expect certain things from your favorite wrestler, and then you have to decide how you want to move. Another person is Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns did an interview. He rarely does them. Did a huge interview and talked about Donald Trump. These are the things that happen, and these are the things that you have to take in consideration when you're looking at professional wrestling and deciding how you feel about it. And Vince McMahon and John Cena, it's another situation.
All right. I'll say this, and then we'll move on. And we talked about this a little bit off air. As we discussed, the women being at the forefront and really lifting the WWE to higher heights. And because Vince's offenses are related to women and to not treating women properly. Mm-hmm. It's so interesting to me that Cena will bring this up, especially because your bread and butter going forward is Hollywood. And this is where the Me Too movement really got started. I'm not sure what happened or what went down with James Gunn. I feel like he may have had some Me Too allegations too. They didn't want him to finish the Guardians of the Galaxy series, but the stars spoke up for him and he was able to do it. Now he's running DC, which is really what is helping Cena with the Peacemakers. Like, I understand what you want, but sometimes we may be jumping over $1 to pick up a quarter, and I'll leave it there.
Hey, I mean, you can't go wrong with that. Like I said, sometimes you have to reconcile your relationship with your favorite wrestlers to understand what's truly important. And the last thing I'll say is, if you have questions, you also have to look at the fact that Brock Lesnar was brought back with the current allegations against him. So
yeah, you're sure right there. That's a great point. It's so interesting, and we talked about it a bit offline. Both, and they're cousins, MMA and MMA and wrestling, are cousins. MMA really is wrestling without scripted outcomes, and that's why so many people, love it. There's so much alike, and one of the things that is so interesting is that with both fan bases, they're very forgiving.
Yes.
Or let me not even say, very forgiving and or very, they just don't care. Like,
I don't even want to say forgiving, because forgiving would mean that there was accountability. And listen, as a wrestling fan, it's something that I struggle with. We've talked about this with MMA. A lot of times there's no accountability. It's swept under the rug, of course, because these are male-dominated sports. But, as you can see more and more with WWE, as an example, the women's division is a much better division right now than the men's. You see new stars being developed on a consistent basis. You see new people being moved up, whereas in the men's area, unfortunately, you're seeing Asian guys still there. You're seeing I said aging just to make
Yes.
it clear. You're seeing aging guys.
Like,
yeah, I said let me clear that up before we get canceled. But you see aging guys still there. They don't build up or create new stars in the same way that the women's division does. I think the accountability has to be there, which is why you do applaud guys like a CM Punk. You do applaud, even though in the past he's had his problems with Seth Rollins, who speaks out against everything. He's been very vocal about certain things as far as women, and with of course with Hulk Hogan, which is very famous about the videos that he does. So I think it's just one of those things of just understanding the product, and also understanding that when you become a fan, there are certain things that you have to look for just to understand, because it's in any wrestling promotion you want to talk about, there's some kind of issues. WWE, there's issues in AEW, there's issues in TNA. I'm sure there's even stuff in New Japan Pro Wrestling. There's been stuff about Io Sky and Star in the past, and how they actually handle certain things also. So it's just one of those things of being mindful of not only what you consume and take in, but also keeping an open eye so that you also understand everything that shines doesn't shimmer. So
yeah. And we'll close out with this. Every organization is run by human beings, and every human being is flawed. So we can't look for perfection where you have imperfect people. We're going to take a quick pause for the cause. On the other side, we will dive into not Roach, but Pitbull versus Roach. Pitbull is the champion. Roach is the one that's moving up, as well as the UFC's last pay-per-view. It's the main card. Keep it locked.
And welcome back to the main card. Voice, let's just get right into it. Merab Dvalishvili and Peter Yan 2 isn't just a fight. It's a statement. A rematch that feels like destiny, with history and redemption colliding under the lights of the T-Mobile Arena. Now, Saturday night, UFC 323 closes out the year with a main event that has a combat sports world buzzing. The Machine is chasing something that no bantamweight has ever done. 4 title defenses in a single calendar year. He's fresh off a dominant win over Corey Sandhagen. Now he faces the man he's already beat in 2023, Mr. No Mercy himself. But this isn't the same Yan. This is the former champion. He's been kind of sharpening his blade, fighting through setbacks, stepping into the cage as a plus 350 underdog. That's not just Vegas math. That's a reflection of how far he's fallen in perception with a lot of pundits, and Yan knows it. He actually told the UFC camera this week, "I'm not here to survive. I'm here to remind everyone who I am. Merab didn't break me the first time, and he won't break me now." Now, the Machine, meanwhile, is building a legacy brick by brick, from dropping his first 2 UFC fights in 2017 to now being talked about in GOAT conversations among bantamweights. His rise has been relentless, and he doesn't just win. He overwhelms, he suffocates, he makes opponents question whether they belong in there with him or not. And he's not shy about it either. Ahead of UFC 323, he said, "I respect Yan, but this is my time, and I'll keep pushing, keep grinding, and I will show again why I'm the champion." Now, Voice, the first fight was a grind, a unanimous decision that left Yan frustrated and Merab validated. But this time, the stakes are higher, the lights are brighter, and the margin of error is non-existent. Yan's precision in striking against Merab's relentless pace is going to be a clash of styles that's going to guarantee drama and a great bout. So here we are. It's the Machine versus No Mercy Part 2. One man is chasing history and the other is clawing for redemption. Now, one is defending dominance, the other is demanding respect. The question is simple, Voice. Will this be the night that the Machine submits himself as being untouchable? Or is this the night that Yan reminds us why he was once the most feared fighter in the bantamweight division?
As you know, only time will tell which of those two stories plays out. the run that Merab is on is stuff of legend, and this really is legendary. You spoke about the fact that he is attempting to do what has not been done in the history of the UFC, and that is defending your title 4 times within a calendar year. Not 4 title fights, 4 defenses. So going into the fight each time as the champion, that's amazing. Though Mighty Mouse has the most defenses at 11, the most he's ever done in a year has been 3. You had a number of other people like Usman and Woodley and John Jones. A number of people have done 3, but no one has ever done 4. So really, that's a lot of the fight. The pressure on Merab is, can I do it again? And can I break this record? Can I submit my legacy as one of the all-time greats by doing this over Jan, who, as you stated, has reinvigorated his game? He's made himself over. There's been a renovation of sorts. Is that enough? One thing that was very telling about the first fight is when it comes to the takedowns, though getting taken down by 7 to 9 times, Merab had to shoot on him a whole lot more than he did on other people. And let me not say he had to shoot on him more, because he shoots on everybody a lot. Corey Sandhagen, he was just taking him down and let him get up to take him down again. But Merab was unsuccessful, didn't have the same level of dominance with Jan as he's had with other fighters. What changes in his game has he made to overcome that? Again, Piotr is a phenomenal striker, trains at Tiger Muay Thai in Thailand. What different wrinkles has he picked up that Merab has not seen? We know that Merab's greatest weapon is his gas tank, where Piotr's greatest weapon are his limbs. So which one is going to be victorious? Normally, if you have that kind of gas tank, you're able to take wear and tear better. He may need that because of the things that Jan is bringing to the table. It's going to be interesting. It's really a toss-up. I'm interested in seeing how it plays out. I don't know who's going to win the fight. I'll say this: for Jan to win, as the odds makers, kind of stated, it's going to be kind of miraculous because of the kind of run that Merab is on. But there's only one fighter who's undefeated, and that's Father Time. Father Time comes at different times for different people, but he's the only one undefeated. And we'll see if Merab can follow the footsteps of DJ. He's still got a long way to go to get to 11, but this will be a step towards that if he's able to repeat against Piotr.
Great analysis, voice. It's definitely going to be a challenge for Jan, especially when considering the fact that Merab's cardiovascular is literally what feels like he outdoes all of his opponents. It's just wearing him down. So if Jan is able to do that, then maybe we'll see something different. It's going to be interesting to see. Jan Merab has not taken a loss since 2018 versus Ricky Simon, and at that point, that was actually his second of back-to-back losses, and he has not tasted defeat since. So make sure that you all tune in. Make sure you're following the voice so that you can get those scorecards and get those thoughts in. But that's not the only fight that we have. Pitbull Cruz versus Lamont Roach Jr. It's a collision. It's a clash of wills. It's about that could redefine the super lightweight division. Now, Saturday night under the lights of the Frostbank Center in San Antonio, Pitbull steps in against Lamont Roach for the interim WBC super lightweight title. Now, this isn't just another headline bout, it's a test of identity. Cruz, the Mexican star with a reputation for relentless pressure, is looking to literally prove that his bite is still as vicious as his bark. Now, Roach, the reigning WBA super featherweight champion, is moving up. He's chasing validation at 140, daring to step into the fire against one of the division's most feared sluggers. Now, Roach has been clear about what this fight means to him. He said Pitbull is the perfect dance partner. He's going to come forward, and I won't have to look for him. That's the kind of fight I want. Feel like he's taking a dig at somebody there. Now, he's not a knockout artist, but he thrives in chaos. And he does believe that Cruz's aggression will give him the opening that he needs. Now, Pitbull, on the other hand, has no interest in playing Roach's rhythm. He's coming off a run where every fight feels like a statement, and he's made it plain. I fight for my people, for my family, and I will not stop until I'm champion again. That's not just talk, that's a mission. Now, the stakes couldn't be higher. For Cruz, it's about reclaiming momentum and proving he belongs amongst the elite at 140. But for Roach, it's about showing that his skill, his grit, and his willingness to brawl with the best of them can carry him into a new weight class and onto a bigger stage. So here we are. Pressure versus precision. Resilience versus relentlessness. One man has to be reminded of his ferocity, and the other really wants to prove that he belongs in the fire. So, Voice, what do we make of such a tremendous fight for the super lightweight division?
We make of it for Roach, it's a little bit of a consolation because, as you stated, he was thrust into the public eye with his defeat. I'll say it, his defeat of Tank Davis. Regardless of what the scorecard said, the people have spoken, and they count that as a defeat for Tank Davis. Supposed to be the rematch. Tank went and did some other stuff, and Roach even said, look, legally, contractually, him going to fight or trying to fight Jake Paul, yeah, there's some problems there. We don't know how that was taken care of, or if that was taken care of. We may hear about legal proceedings in the very near future regarding all that. Either way it goes, actually both of these men, both Pitbull and Roach, were thrust into prominence because of their fights versus Tank Davis. Now, Pitbull, he lost going away, but he hung in there and he gave Davis such a fight that he kept saying, hey, I want that rematch, I want that rematch, I want that rematch. Tank showed his technical prowess by having to box against Pitbull. It really gave me a lot of respect for Tank Davis. He broke his hand and he had to box. Didn't know he could. It was like, that was beautiful. I'd like to see more of it. And he has now gained this title that he looks to put on the line versus Lamont, who's coming up in weight yet again. Second fight in a row coming up in weight and coming up to fight for a title. Because he looks so good at that weight class of 135 with Tank, we're interested in seeing, can he do it again? Boxing skill-wise, he should have it. But there are weight classes for a reason. Is this a bridge too far? Is he going up too high, trying to take on Pitbull? Again, skills-wise, Pitbull's a brawler. He comes straight forward. You already spoke about that. He comes straight forward, like tailor-made for Roach. Will Roach's power carry is the question. That was the question we had it at 35. We know that it did. Will that be the same at 40? If so, then expect Pitbull to have a short night. Expect Roach to go away and be victorious with no kind of controversy, because he will have stopped the fight. Whereas for Pitbull, he's going to keep coming forward. He's like Marab in the boxing ring. He just He's got that forward pressure and he doesn't stop. Will that be enough to break Roach when they step between those ropes into the square circle? We'll find out.
Now, I gotta ask this, Voice, because yes, I know technically Lamont lost, but if we're being honest, it was an incorrect non-call from the referee, and he would have had a split decision win.
So the judges did not have it the way that it should have been. It wasn't nearly as close as they had it on the cards.
Yeah. So my question is it possible through the frustration of everything he's went through with Gervonta and wanting that rematch and not getting it, that he comes in overcompensating and possibly maybe overdoes it and Pitbull pulls off the win? Or do you think he's going to be super focused and knows exactly what he has to do? Because I know you said like he doesn't want to leave any kind of controversy, but I know coming off such a fight like that, the next time you want to prove yourself in a different manner, he doesn't really have to.
Here's the thing though. Going into the fight with Tank, Roach was an established champion. He was just at a lower weight class. So this kind of fight is really not anything new. As far as proving himself is concerned, he did not feel that kind of pressure with Tank, where, as he said, most people, like with Mike Tyson, they were defeated before the fight started because they were scared. He wasn't scared. He knew that he could take him on. He knew that he could be victorious, and he went in and he did it. I think he'll be carrying that same kind of confidence into this fight. I don't think he's going to try to do more than is within his skill set, because again, he is a seasoned champion. We forget about that because again, his name wasn't as big as those 4 or 5 guys that we talked about not too long ago. But that didn't mean that he wasn't a dog and that he couldn't fight. He just showed that to everyone. He's got a great camp behind him, being the people at Pro Box, and this is what they do. They take those French contenders and they lift them to higher heights. I don't think that he's going to put more on himself than needs be, and he's got different ways of doing it. He can be slick, he can catch you with counters, he can pop you, he can dance around the ring. And I think he will display and utilize whatever skill set is necessary to come away with the victory.
Oh, there you have it. We'll definitely be on the lookout for that. 2 tremendous fights to get you set for this weekend. But of course, like we always do, we give you the main course, but then we give you your little sides. You need your yams and your macaroni and cheese to go with it. So, Voice, tell us what we should be looking for in our final fights.
Final fights this weekend, we got so many things going on. There were so many fights this weekend, we had to keep things a little shorter than normal. We might do 4 fights a week. This week, there's no way of doing that because it's just way too many. On that UFC card, you have another title fight. Yes, another title fight that we're not even talking about with Alexandre Pantoja taking on the surging Joshua Van. I don't know why I was tripping with his name mentally, but you got that going on. You have one of the favorite sons of the UFC being former flyweight champion Brandon Moreno, Assassin Baby, taking on Tatsuro Taira. Henry Cejudo taking on Peyton Talbot, and it's opening up with a banger. Former light heavyweight champion Jan Blachowicz taking on Bogdan Guskov. That one, if it goes to the judges, that will be a surprise. That should be a banger. And then on the boxing end, again, other title fights. Now, one of the title fights we can't talk about. We can talk about, but what was to be a unification bout is not a unification bout anymore. And this does tie in with Bud Crawford. He had plans on fighting the winner of the fight between Erislandy Lara and Janabek, but Janabek popped positive. And what he popped positive for, there's no way it can get in your system without it being taken intentionally. So Janabek's not fighting. Now they've got someone else fighting Lara, but I'm sure Janabek will be stripped. Lara will do what he does. And the fight at 160 that was being rumored, the one that there was video already made to promote it, that Bud accidentally allowed to play at the mall. Yeah, all of that is for naught now. You also have on this card, and what got elevated, and I'm glad that it got elevated, is the fight between your boy Stephen Fulton. I don't even know what nickname he's using nowadays because he's
why you keep putting it out there like that, man?
He's from Philly.
Yeah, but you know how I feel about. You know what? Go ahead, sir.
I mean, the dude is doing his thing. Just because he's proving himself.
Nah, but you wait.
He's proven himself to be a champion.
But you be putting a little spice on that whole your boy thing because you be wanting to rub it in after I guarantee victory versus
you sir, feel convicted because of what you say. I'm not saying anything different. I ain't putting a special nothing on it. I talk the same way. I say your boy for people like Boots Ennis. I say your boy for any of these Philly fighters when they're doing their thing because you're from Philly and that's a fighting city. So
Philly always in
Philly fighter, I'm gonna say your boy. Again, just because you feel a little convicted.
No, I just feel like it felt like you put a little spice in that jump. But you know what? Do you think? No.
He's taking on Shockey Foster, and that very well could be the fight of the night. How is Shock going to deal with the slick boxing that Fulton has? The last time he faced a slick boxer, because of the way that Shock fights, they gave it to the other fighter. They should not have, but they did. So it's going to be interesting to see if Shock can do what he needs to do to retain his title, or if Fulton will gain an interim WBC title. Yep, interim WBC title in this fight versus Stephen Fulton. I would say Shockey Foster and Stephen Fulton. But then you also have a very interesting fight, another WBC interim title fight at middleweight between Jesus Alejandro Ramos Jr. and Shane Mosley Jr. This could be Shane's coming out party. A lot's been said about him, but he's not been in this level of fight before, not had this kind of spotlight before. So it's going to be very interesting to see how everything plays out when you've got some of the bright lights, you got some of the glitz and the glam, you got some of the pressure. His granddaddy is there, just like he was there for Shane's first fight. Granddaddy is there for the first quote unquote title fight that Junior has. Yeah, just a great weekend of fights. And if you are a fan of fight sports, you're in a really good spot.
Definitely, because we still have one more thing closing out the weekend, and that is NXT Deadline 2025. That's going to be taking place in San Antonio, and the card is amazing. Now, if you're not familiar with the Iron Survivor matches, this is actually going to be taking place with the Iron Survivor matches. Now, the Iron Survivor match is a 5-person match, both men and women, which a wrestler attempts to score the most pinfalls within the 25-minute time limit, which is the deadline. So on this card, you're going to see, of course, a lot of different wrestlers, including AAA, TNA, and NXT. So you got Ethan Page versus Mr. Iguana. That's going to be for the NXT North American Championship. That's after Ethan and Chelsea defeated Mr. Iguana and Lola Vice for those AAA mixed tag team champions. You got Tatum Paxley versus Izzy Dame. Tatum's looking to get retribution after Izzy cost her women's title in very shocking fashion, but we all saw it coming. You have the women's Iron Survivors match. Now, this is going to be for the NXT Women's Championship match at New Year's Evil. You got Sol Ruka, Lola Vice, Kalani Jordan, Jordan Grace, and Kendall Gray from Evolve. Then you have the men's Iron Survivors match, which is going to be incredible. You got Javon Evans, Mr. Bounty himself, Leon Slater, which I actually saw recently at TNA pay-per-view. He's amazing live. Joe Hendry making his debut as a WWE wrestler as he just signed his contract. Deion Lennox and Miles Bourne. And then finally, in the championship match main event, Ricky Saints gets to face one more time Oba Femi for the NXT championship. And I'm scared for Ricky because Oba looking like he's coming for blood. So that's wrapping up your fight weekend. That NXT deadline card is amazing. If you're a fan of professional wrestling and you want to get into today's stars that are coming, these are the ones you want to see. Also, keep an eye out because next week we'll discuss it. John Cena's final card, which is the Saturday night's main event. Cena will actually be starting the card. So him and his matchup will be facing off to start the card. But Cena wanted to do a dedication match to the upcoming stars. So a lot of these NXT stars on NXT Deadline, you'll actually see on that Saturday night main event card as NXT fighters are going to be facing the main roster stars, kind of as a welcome to the league type thing.
Nice, very nice. Well, the Riverwalk is going to be on fire this weekend as you have two events, both an NXT card as well as Pitbull versus Roach are taking place in San Antonio. One at the Boeing Center, the other at the Frostbank Center.
Definitely. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to another amazing show of the main card. It's always Smoke O'Clock here with me and The Voice. Make sure if you guys can't sit and see these beautiful faces that you like, share, and subscribe. We're on every podcast that you can think of, and it's not just us, it's the entire MTMV team. You got Not the Same, you got Miss Marva, Time Out, you have Full 94, Sports Talk with C. We have a number of different shows for you that's available, anything that you're looking for. It's amazing. Thank you all for your continued support. Voice, take us out.
Till next time, fight the good fight.
What's going on, family? It's your man, Wildress.
And it's your man, the myth, the legend, the Voice.
And you just finished watching the main card on the MTMV network.
Yeah, for more great shows just like this, smash the subscribe button and keep fighting the good fight.